February 13th meeting to order. We'll do introductions. All commissioners are present. And Lisa, I'll start off with you.
Lisa Millister, Port of Morrow. Eileen Hendricks, Port of Morrow.
Mark Bennett, Port of Morrow. Jake King, Port of Morrow.
Brandy Warburton, Port of Morrow. Jordan Graves, Port of Morrow. Station Steel. Eric One, Port of Morrow.
Okay, if you could go through with us online.
We'll start with John Doherty.
John Doherty, City of Etner.
Aaron Palmquist, City of Oregon.
We all see Brandon Hammond.
Brandon Hammond, City of Oregon.
Perfect, thank you. Hefner Gazette. I think for some reason they never have audio. Marcine.
Marcine Brigham, Port of Morrow Warehousing.
Oregon Rural Action.
Hi, good afternoon. Kristen Ostrom, Executive Director of Oregon Rural Action.
Thank you. Michael Campbell.
Michael Campbell with Stoll Reeves, outside counsel to the port.
Brian.
Hey everyone, Ryan Gleason with CFM Advocates, state contract lobbyist for the Port of Morrow.
Well, we'll move on to Sam.
Sam Tucker, General Counsel, Port. I'm here.
Okay. Next on our agenda is election of board of Morrow Commission officers for 2025. I open the floor for nominations.
I guess I'd make a motion for the later same officers. And interested.
No one. You present right now?
No. Thank you. I would second that. If that's
Okay.
required.
You talking president, vice president?
Yeah.
Okay, secretary?
Yeah.
Okay. It is motion by John to continue with this slate of officers as they stand right now. And Joel has seconded that. Any other further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimous.
Congratulations. Okay, now,
So,
we do all the others too. We do.
And I wasn't quite sure if it was old or new, and it's new for 2025.
We'll get to it when we get to it.
yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay.
Okay, public comment period, I think it was out there. The consent agenda, we have our December 4th minutes on there.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I second that.
Okay, Rick is moved, and John is second, to approve the consent agenda. Discussion. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carried unanimous. Okay, legislative updates. We have Herbie Garrett on Zoom. Herbie, would you like to go ahead?
Yes. Can you hear me okay? Sorry, I'm dealing with some technical issues here, but can you hear me, see me?
Yeah. Sound
Good. Okay, perfect. All right. Well, good afternoon. Great to see everybody. Yeah, Washington, D.C. is buzzing right now. I'll say that. We're off to the races here. We've got a new Congress being sworn in beginning of this month. We've got Inauguration Day a week from today. President Trump making his return to the White House. So there's quite a bit going on and a lot on their plate. I'll try to go through this briefly, but I'll start off with government spending. So as you may remember from my previous updates, last fall, Congress passed a short-term spending bill to keep the lights on, extend spending through December 20th. So they had to pass something again by that deadline. They were able to avert a shutdown with another short-term bill, but as you'd expect, that came with lots of drama, as it seemingly has to in DC. So Congress was supposed to pass a bipartisan stopgap bill through March that Speaker Johnson had negotiated with the Democrats. But when that was released, a lot of conservatives didn't like the size of it. They didn't like things that were tacked onto it. Elon Musk caught wind of it as well, began airing grievances on Twitter or X, and eventually persuaded President Trump and Speaker Johnson, persuaded President Trump to oppose the bill, and Speaker Johnson had to pull it. Then they put forward a different bill that had a Trump requested provision to clear or extend the debt ceiling. That didn't go over well with Democrats, who said heck no, and because they were upset that Republicans had walked away from the deal they had. Then there were also conservatives that didn't like it because they want spending cuts to accompany any debt ceiling increase. Ultimately, they had to pull that bill. Speaker Johnson put another one on the floor that finally had enough support from House Republicans, and Democrats were willing to support that too, but it left off the debt ceiling provision. So all goes to say they were able to pass a bill, avert a shutdown. They extended spending levels to March 14th, at which point we're going to get to do this all over again. Except at that point, Republicans will be in charge of the House, the Senate, and the presidency, but they will still need to work with Democrats to get a year-long bill done because they have to overcome the filibuster to get a bill out of the Senate and get that to the president. All of this is an interesting window into what things are going to look like in the next 2 years. Republicans have a razor-thin majority. There will likely be a period here in the next couple months where Republicans literally have a one-seat majority, and they will only be able to they'll only be able to lose. They won't be able to lose a single vote. They'll need unanimous support among their caucus. So that's going to be extremely challenging, especially as Republicans are trying to accomplish big things here in the first 100 days. Not only do they have to do that spending bill, but they want to pass a border security, energy, and tax package. And they're still debating whether to do that in one or two bill, but either way, they'll be using the reconciliation process to do that. That allows them to pass a bill without Democratic support, but will require them to form their own majority and get it done with a party line vote, which, as I just talked about, is going to be super challenging. In addition to that reconciliation bill and the spending legislation, the Senate is going to be very busy giving a lot of bandwidth to Trump nominees for cabinet positions. So I'll go to say it's going to be a crazy start to the year. There's a ton going on. So we'll keep you posted, but a lot to navigate there. On port-specific items, we're obviously continuing to work through the WIFIA process to secure loan financing for the port's wastewater infrastructure investments. I know the team will provide a more detailed update. I think that's an agenda item later, but we're working to keep the delegation involved and engaged. They've been great supporters and super helpful. Merkley and Wyden's teams had a call with EPA last month to just check in on this with the agency and encourage the port or encourage EPA to keep working with the port. Obviously, EPA, like every other agency, they're going to be going through a transition period with the new administration. New folks are going to be coming in and need to be brought up to speed, but we really don't expect any issues with that affecting our loan request. One final note, the Maritime Administration, or MARAD, they recently opened up the Port Infrastructure Development Program, or PIDP. This is the program we submitted a grant application to last year for a planning grant for Terminal 3 to take a look and try to identify a solution for the settlement issues with the gantry crane out there. That application will be due in April of this year, so we'll be working with the team to put that together for a request that will probably be somewhere around $700,000. So we'll keep you posted as that comes together, but that's all I have for now. I've taken enough of your time. Happy as always to take any questions, but appreciate the opportunity to provide an update.
Questions, Kurt, comments?
Can you explain the terminal fee thing just a little bit?
Jacob? Some time ago, well, when the gantry crane was, built, so when they upgraded the gantry crane, they had to move it as wider than the old crane, so they rebuilt one side and left the old side the same. Well, the old side's a little bit weaker and it's starting to show some age. So it's starting to settle in places. I mean, very minuscule, but enough to start, I guess, have concern for it. So we've been monitoring it, we've been fixing shear off bolts for some time, and it's kind of moving from a maintenance issue to a pretty significant replacement situation. And that entails a bunch of underwater exploration, figuring out what we need to do for new piles and a bunch of engineering work that engineering planning and permitting work that we just don't have the time to tackle right now. So we're looking for funds to help in that effort.
All right. Okay, thanks Kirby. Ryan is on there, is that right?
Correct.
Yes, so Ryan, you're up.
Yes, hello, commissioners. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here with you today. This will probably be the last time that you'll see me at my home office or in my house. The next update, I will likely be huddled in a quiet corner at the state capitol, so give me a little grace in those future updates. So it's a new year, new elected officials. Attorney General Dan Rayfield was sworn in early on New Year's Eve, replacing Ellen Rosenblum, who retired after 12 years as Attorney General. And then last Monday, Treasurer Elizabeth Steiner and Secretary of State Tobias Reed were also sworn in. Very exciting. And today, a new legislature was sworn in, including our new state senator, Todd Nash. His committee appointments include vice chair of the Senate Natural Resources Committee and being a member on the Human Services and Housing and Development Committees. And of course, Rep. Smith and Rep. Levy were also sworn in today for their next terms, and the 2025 legislative session officially begins next week on Tuesday. The legislative session will kick off with Democrats having a supermajority in both chambers. This allows them to pass revenue-raising bills without Republican support, which is notable as we head into a transportation package year, which I have discussed in past updates. And as we speak, the legislature is actually meeting for a joint organizational session, and Governor Kotek right now is giving her State of the State address. So, future updates can highlight some of her remarks. She's likely to be focusing on her top three priorities, which include education, housing and homelessness, and behavioral health. Less exciting for me, last Friday, 2,284 bills that were pre-session filed were dropped for public viewing. Until they're dropped or shared with, lobbyists, members of the public, community advocates, anything like that, they are considered confidential between the sponsoring legislator and the drafting attorney and legislative counsel. Between Friday and Sunday, yes, I had probably the most exciting weekend out of everyone. I went through all 2,284 bills and I began tracking important legislation for the port to keep up with, including bills related to being a public entity, government ethics, economic development, public health, and more. So I'll be working with, and I'll be working closely with partners, including the Oregon Public Ports Association, to track other legislation that comes up. There will be many opportunities for the Port of Morrow to engage in the legislative process. And then lastly, something else I've been working on with the port. As you're aware, before the holidays, the port submitted a request for an emergency permit to DEQ to avoid a potential port shutdown. Since that request was submitted, the situation with precipitation has only gotten worse. And so I've been working with partners in the region to elevate the importance of this request. And we'll be sure to share updates with Lisa and the rest of the port team as soon as I have them. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Ryan. No. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so next on the agenda is old business and 2025 membership board appointments. There should be a list in here.
Yes.
Somewhere.
Old business.
Okay, there it is. First page number. Old business.
So first on that list is CDA. And the current one. Mr.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we accept that, those two positions as we voted a few months ago.
Okay. There's a second for that. I'll second that. Any other discussion on that? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, passes unanimous. You,
Chair, I'll have a question when we can either wait till the end of this, or we can discuss it as we go along, but, it has to do with impending meetings coming up, CRES 2 and CRES 3, before we decide who's gonna be voting members. It's become, clear that the commission wants to provide guidance or requirements of the voting member of these organizations. I just want to make sure that if that's the case, that we have that discussion. For example, CRES 2 is trying to meet, CRES 3 is trying to meet. CDA, there's even a question I have that I even brought up at the last meeting, what the wishes of this commission is when our representatives show up at those meetings. So however, whenever that's appropriate, I'd like to have that as part of our discussion sometime, please.
okay,
Timeliness is an issue because, I don't know,
Yeah.
about $16 million is gonna get spent. There was supposed to be a meeting last Friday. And interestingly enough, the forum didn't get established, I guess, and so, the vote wasn't, or the meeting wasn't called, so anyway. We can discuss it sometime. I'm not sure when we would fit that in, but it is important too, because we're gonna have that meeting, those two meetings actually, I've seen.
yeah. Does the board have an opinion on that? We do it now or a little later,
I think it's really not on our agenda, so I think we probably should maybe talk about adding it as a discussion item under your business maybe.
or I'm okay with that. Under today's.
Sorry, I didn't think of it sooner. I should have and made that ask earlier in the process because it's, I just thought of it on the drive down, actually. I thought, well, wait a second.
I'm okay with that. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah.
I will say that we might have another item that we might want to have a special meeting for to take action on, so maybe we could do that in as quickly as a week or so.
Okay, I would be open to that, just in case.
Well, we've got some requirements, don't we?
10 days.
Number of days, 10
10
days,
days.
okay, we have to do 10 days.
I didn't read all of it, I just read that first part and printed it for you.
We have.
And I'm just going down the list here. CRES 2, so John and Kelly are the voting members. Rick is the alternate. Anybody want to change?
So if I can have some discussion, so in the past, and it's been our past practice up until, I think, last year, that the chair automatically has a seat on CRES 2 as the chair. And then we usually assign another commissioner in that stead to be a voting member, and we have an alternate. Is that something that we're not going to consider, or we've done it that way for several years? Doesn't mean that we have to continue to do it that way. It's just been our past practice. So that was my question.
I guess I've never heard that voice, actually.
Well, yeah, obviously I haven't.
Yeah. I never heard that, being a rule.
Is that right, Joe?
Well, not necessarily a rule, it's just kind of
What's been done?
what's been done, you know. I don't think we need to have it that way, one way or the other. I think if we elect our representatives, we elect. Or appoint them, I guess I should say.
Well, and I'm good with that, if that's what the desire of the commission is. I just thought I would bring it up since that was past practice. We have done it in the past, doesn't mean we have to. So that answers that for me. So with that, I would make a motion that we appoint John and Joel as our voting members, and Joe as an alternate to Chris too.
There's a motion on the floor and seconds to that.
I'll second that.
Okay. Joel seconded, discussion on there. Is that something you want, you obviously seconded, Joel, so.
I would accept it, yes.
Any other discussion on there? I don't necessarily need to be an alternate, but, I'm fine. That's not too much to me. Any other discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor of, John, Joel, and myself being on Chris 2, 4, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? Okay, hearing none, that's unanimous. Next is Chris 3. We have Lisa as staff and Mark as alternate. And then John and myself are voting members and Joel is the alternate.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
would there be any concern of having the same set of only Joel and, I mean, having John and Joel as the voting members with Joe as an alternate, kind of the same? Tell me, would anybody have any concern with that? Kind of makes sense to have that same structure in my mind. So.
I think I'd have to disagree with that. I think that we need to have a diverse ideology. Not everybody thinks the same, and I think that opinions are important from elected officials. That we shouldn't, butter stamp that all the way through. I think a diverse opinion is a better idea for that.
Okay. Chris 2 is pretty much disbursement of funds nowadays, so, and Chris 3 is the business entity going forward. And how you look at those things, you're gonna have, I don't know, I would move it around between, I guess I would agree with Kelly that, John and Joe as voting members and Kelly as an alternate, or I guess there's other things coming up here too. There's 3 other groups to be on, but
You didn't, we got a motion.
I didn't,
Okay.
I did not make a motion, I just thought we'd have discussion, I'm trying to understand. Based on, it takes a while to get to understand what Chris is about, how it works, how everything functions, so. I'm trying to keep some consistency there. It gets tough when you get into, those meetings, start negotiating with these, organizations, plus the NDAs that come along with those. It just seems to make sense to have the same people who are understanding what's going on, having those discussions. So that's why I brought it.
the alternate is rarely used, honestly.
Yeah.
I guess I would make a motion that myself and Joe are voting commissioners on Chris 3 with Kelly as the alternate. Just so that there's some diversity in our representation.
Okay.
So,
Motion?
Yeah.
Okay,
so, sorry to interrupt, so would your motion also include staff the way it is?
Oh, yes, yeah.
I'll leave that the same.
Oh, yeah. Unless they want to swap. It's up to them entirely.
You got that, Mark?
I don't care.
If we want to swap, someone will just be absent then.
Yeah, that's what I, okay, then I would leave it as.
Okay, so there's a motion from John, is there a second on that?
A second, yeah.
Okay, Kelly is second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes, 4 votes to 1.
Can you read that one again? That was who?
It'd be, John,
And Joe.
myself, and then Kelly is the alternate.
Thank you.
Never got to meet.
Hmm.
They could never get a meeting call.
No, it's kind of disturbing.
When you get a board with that many people on. Oh, Marty, get into those.
Yeah.
Yes.
You almost need to set a reoccurring date.
Right, ahead of time, yeah.
That's all they're scheduled.
Yeah, okay, so that covers Chris 3, broadband is Rick and John, and myself as alternate,
Didn't even have a burning desire. I mean, I'm willing to
You're doing
still,
good.
but it's up, I don't need to take something.
Although I haven't got broadband yet, so I'm not sure how.
Maybe you should, no.
No.
It might be a while.
Yeah, I know. Well, yes.
Or not at all.
Sad but true.
I would move, remain the same with Rick and John voting members and Joe as an alternate on the broadband.
I'll second.
okay. We'll move John seconded for broadband to remain the same. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passed unanimous. The audit committee is, Kelly and Joel. I think that went pretty well, you guys.
Yeah, do we just meet once? Is that what?
They gave you
Twice.
twice.
Yeah, one
She's-
early and then one right before that.
Oh, okay,
She sent you a
Oh, okay.
date and time.
right, okay,
You guys all right doing those?
yes.
So moved.
I'll second. Second to, continue with Kelly and Joel as audit committee. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Someone could take a moment to explain the Clean Water Consortium. It requires 2 from the county, 2 from the port, is that right? And then, I can't remember, is it 1 at large or something? How does
It
that
was
work?
one staff and one elected official.
Yeah,
if I remember
one staff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I would move, Kelly be the voting member from the Port of Morrow on the Clean Water Consortium, as well as Lisa, you're gonna be the designated one, that from
Yes.
staff, okay, and Lisa is the staff.
Okay. John is moved and, is there a second? I'm sorry.
I'll second that.
Okay, Kelly seconded. Any other discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, passes unanimous, thank you. Okay, anything else we're forgetting? No, you, Lisa?
No. You don't want to discuss this now or later? Not under board appointments. Okay, yeah.
So then we'll move on to resolution 2024-08.
Okay, so when we did the utility rates, last summer, we discussed whether or not the 15% increase was going to be sufficient. And because that was the number that had been provided to industry, we went with it. So our volume, our water volume is running at 85% of what it was last year. which we're happy about yet sad at the same time. That's 77% of where we were in the 21-22 year. Our revenues for the first 6 months in the wastewater in water delivery are 11% under budget, which puts us on target to be 22% under budget by the end of the year. Our expenditures are running at 53% of budget, so we're over on expenditures, primarily in repairs, testing and permits, and legal costs. We would like for you to consider raising the wastewater rate. We did not prepare a resolution today, but we would like your input and guidance. We believe we need at least an additional 15% through the end of the year, anticipating that we will still go up 15% in July. In addition to where we are right now, we have some additional staffing requirements that we're looking at. To operate both, well, to operate a wastewater distribution system, I guess. I'll just leave it at that. The numbers that we've been setting around would take a whole 15% rate increase just to cover the additional staffing needs. So what's your feelings?
So I don't understand your 15% to the end of the year.
Well, raise the rates now, knowing that we'll raise them again July 1, whatever percentage you choose to raise them by.
A mid-year
We-
adjustment to cover our loss, basically.
Okay.
So I will also tell you that because of the capital, which we have expended a lot of capital and we will expend a lot more at the end of the year, but that gives us the legal cushion of not exceeding the appropriations that you legally adopted last year. On the other hand, it really doesn't. I mean, we're gonna need some increases in some of those categories in wastewater to make it through the end of the year. We're spending a lot more with our consultants and our attorneys and our farmers than we anticipated a year ago.
So have we talked to any of our customers about this? And
We have, and if you remember when we approved the rates in July, we said that we would revisit this in January because we already knew at that point that the increase of 15% was not going to be enough to cover our needs, but that's what we had told them it was going to be, and so they knew that we were going to readdress this again in January.
so they would have had a chance to budget for it back in July last year.
We didn't give them dollar numbers more than the 15%. But they have indicated that they've been running lots of projections themselves, doesn't that come up in the industry meeting weekly? They're aware that our costs are higher than. And we don't have to approve any rate increase today, but we do need to address it before July 1st, so.
You're talking about a 50% now and then 50% on top of that in July?
Right, so 15 right now would raise the rate right at 50 cents per 1,000 gallons. We're at 332, that would take us to about 382.
Then another 15% will be
A little more
more
than
than
50 cents next time, yeah.
because you've raised them. Okay.
But we've been talking about raising
Yes.
Sorry, I have just a question, is that across the board for water, freshwater and wastewater, or just the 50%?
Wastewater, wastewater is where our, increased costs or unexpected costs are falling.
So this resolution has both in there, but the next resolution would only have wastewater? And the idea is to get to sustainability at some point,
That is the idea, yes.
so 30%, so we're still 23% under sustainability. We raise it 15 now, 15 later, you said we were 53% under.
53% over on expenditures.
No, 50% of our budget.
3%, which 53 compared to 50, which is where you would expect to be. So our expenditures are 3% over as of December 31st.
Because we're about halfway through our budget. Okay, that makes a little more sense.
But our revenue is 11% lower than where we would have expected it to be at the end of December. And with continued conservation efforts, we don't see that picking up because of volumes.
We appreciate the conservation. It does hit us right at the ability to repay our loans, so thanks, not an operator. We did stay true to our word when we talked to the industry at the beginning of the year in the budget year, which I appreciated. But I think I do remember us talking about the need for additional and an adjustment mid-year, so I don't think this is a surprise to the industry.
Would you be able to work us up a sheet that kind of, I don't know if that'd be helpful or not.
Yeah, I started along that path, but other things get in the way.
When do you need to know about it?
Okay, and so for right now, if you just look at your financial sheet, which you have, and you look at the wastewater page, water discharge fund, excuse me. The second line item, water usage, we're at 39% where you would expect to be at 50% at this point in time. So that shows that that is down. We didn't account for the lease revenue on the expansion line, but there's lots of stuff going on there. And that's not free money to just be used. I'll just say that right now. Right. Okay, and then if you look down, personal services, we are really close to right on target. That doesn't allow for any additional new hires. Whether or not those will occur before at least June is unlikely, but they are coming. You'll see that we're already over on contract services, including legal. I'll tell you up front that that is mostly legal. Of that 457,000, over 400,000 of that is legal costs. And as you move down to repairs and maintenance, we are just now moving into the season where we really start knowing that there's things that have to be fixed. And so if we're already over 50%, we would anticipate being higher. And as you move down to testing and permits, that would be our consulting fees primarily and our testing fees. And we've had to add additional tests. And we're already at 73% for the year. And we still have half a year left to go.
And the need for tests isn't gonna go down at all.
It's not gonna go down.
Go down. Okay.
It may get better in 4 or 5 years. Secondary treatments on, but a lot of this is the winter application. We're gonna have 4 moisture sensors going around. We're gonna have that 4 moisture sensor from now on, even in the growing season. So that doubled just in that aspect, just in moisture testing. So, and that's GSI out there, parametrics out there. So.
Well, I think we knew this was coming, and I'm afraid it's still not gonna be enough.
That's what I'm afraid of too. What does sustainability look like? I mean, what percentage would it have to go up for us to be flush?
Well,
Obviously.
that's why we have the sliding scale, because as our loan payments begin to come due, then this jumps dramatically. I think this gets us where we need to be right now, and we'll just keep inching it up until which we estimated was going to be 5 to 7 years to get to that.
So when do our loan payments come due?
Well, we don't have firm loan agreements, so we have the short-term financing, which is covered for the next 2 years, or year and a half at this point. And if we succeed in, financing with WIFIA, those payments are generally due 5 years after substantial completion. So if we're talking about 2029 for substantial completion, we're talking 34 for the big payments. If we get part of it financed through the Clean Water Fund, there's nothing indicating that they extend due dates. So I would imagine within a year of getting those funds, we would have loan payments due. We still want to go that route because it's substantially lower interest rate than even the federal money.
Lower than the with you?
Oh, yes, yes, 2% lower.
It's good. I did see it like from 100, which we were maybe hoping for to 50. Is that the right? Oh, we're still gonna push for that. Oh, we're okay.
But 50 is all well safe right now.
Okay.
The next application round is April, but we were gonna talk about that in the next topic, but yes, we want to go ahead and apply for the other 50 million in April.
So am I to assume that you want some direction, but you would provide us with a resolution?
Right,
Okay.
take action on it the next meeting.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to go forward. Keep pushing it out.
Kelly's thinking.
I know, I'm just trying to think if this is just going to, if we're gonna increase it 15 and 15, and that's just going to cover our costs, what's going to cover our loans? In the, you know, if you say they're due in a year and a half, the short-term financing and the state could possibly be in a year, where are we getting the funds to cover those loan payments if we're just covering costs now? I guess.
We're not just covering costs now, and I'd be happy to send you the cash projection.
Okay.
If you'd like.
Well, and with that, at least doing these small increments, it gives those customers the ability to budget for it in the future instead of dropping it all in their lap all at once. So that would be my concern.
I would hope the dust is going to settle too a little bit on our processes here. I mean, I'd love for our legal expenses to go down, you know, offense, Sam.
Yes.
But I would love for our consultant costs to go down, so that we do get to where we're stable and have operational costs and mostly that, and we cover it with our fees.
Certainly our help.
Yep.
We just have so much oversight on wastewater now that that's not. Those crews travel those fields twice a day, make sure there's no issues out there, no runoff. That's something that's never going to change.
Sure. Okay. So maybe other dust will settle.
Maybe other dust. That's just something we have to do.
Okay, is that enough direction for you? Okay. Okay, airport road dedication.
Shaking.
So there's a map, so. That's that problem, memory on what the commission was talking about names and where. So we'll open the map and make sure that we got it right.
Sure.
You kind of see where the double black lines are traveling, those are the new road right of ways, at the airport area. You've got the existing Boardman Airport Lane, it's just getting extended all the way down to 3 Mile Canyon property to the west. So it'll remain Boardman Airport Lane. All the way to the west, beside PDX 202, is Krebs Road, that was a suggestion by the commission. Down in the southeast corner, we've got a little, connector road that comes off of Boardman Airport Lane, which I proposed as being Bowen Road. And then back to Tower Road would be Bristow Lane. Those were kind of undefined. I know Krebs wanted to be out towards the west, and we had Bowen, Dallas, and Bristow being to the east. So those two are interchangeable if there's any reference by the commission. But then up in the northeast corner, you've got Dallas Road, which is a north access road off of the existing extension of Coonsey. So Coonsey will extend the first few hundred feet, and then when the road turns to the north, it'll be Dallas Road.
Sounds familiar.
And this could be really however you guys see fit. The suffix is set in stone by county protocol. Road and lane, road is north and south, lane is east and west. And as far as process goes, as soon as you guys approve this, I'll submit it officially to the county. County will do their review for addressing and emergency services, and then the Board of Commission will approve it as well.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. Rick is moved, Kelly has seconded for approval of the road dedication as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion passed. Unanimous. Okay. Next is CWSRF resolution. I want to see how that got there.
Okay, if you go to the resolution tab, you will see a very simple resolution that the state provided to us, fill in the blank. This is on the $50 million request. And we'd like to get approval of this today. And as we stated earlier, we will be working on designation of separation of projects so that we can apply for an additional $15 million in their round that's in April.
And you were telling me this is just they didn't want our. What
We tried. They sent us samples. We followed the sample. This time they sent us a form. So
Yeah, at least it's not a long form.
it's very.
$50 million.
And the percentage figure on this one was,
It's the percentage rate on the interest, it's 2.5. I thought it was 2.6, but I haven't looked it up recently.
I would move approval of the Clean Water State Revolving Fund application
Resolution.
resolution.
The resolution number on that's 2025-01.
Yes.
Second that.
Okay, John is moving, Rick is seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
We do have a follow-up meeting with DEQ this Thursday too, to go over requirements. We're gonna actually go through all the documents, but we'll make sure it's in line, so we get this thing for the,
They also want to make sure that we can pay their loan back, so we'll be going over the same form I'm going to be sending you.
I just have one question for Mark, maybe. So this money, is this enough? The 50 million, is that enough for the wastewater treatment?
No.
Secondary? No, not near enough.
Just a portion, yeah.
This is just a portion of it.
Yeah, just a portion.
And it would
But
reduce
we're
the
going
WIFIA.
to take the lower
It would
interest
reduce
rate
the-
on as much as they'll give us.
And did they require us to say that there is just going to be for secondary treatment, or was that something
That's
that
the
we
only,
provided?
that's the only project that qualifies, Kelly. We've
Okay.
already started all the rest of the projects.
Okay.
So once you put shovels in the ground, you don't qualify.
Oh.
It can't be
I see.
refinance, yeah, or short specifically. So we have to have the agreements in place with them before we can start.
Is
Hopefully
it
we can get-
with you alone the same thing? That, no, you can have a shovel on the
No,
ground, over
state requirement.
just state requirement, okay.
But you need to have this in before the WIFIA.
We gotta get it done at the same time.
Okay, it's the same.
Yeah,
They're talking to each other.
yeah.
Okay. Oh.
I think-
Next is the wiki update.
So this is an update to let you know that, David Olbrich sent revisions to the term sheet, back after the first of the year. I don't remember what date those went. Well, the week before last. Yeah, it was early.
I was still not here.
Okay, and Martin requested it in Word, so he sent that the day that he requested it. So we're anticipating something back, or he wouldn't have wanted it in Word.
And that's the term sheet?
Term sheet. And the term sheet is what will be used to populate the agreement.
So is that an indication they're willing to give us money that we're asking for, or is it just part of the process?
This isn't our first term sheet,
Yeah,
part of the process.
but there's been a lot that's happened between now and then too. We've got our short-term financing. We look a lot more positive to them now than before. I mean, we raised $270 million in 4 weeks. So
Are we still
I think-
asking for the same amount? Or is the amount
Yeah.
changed?
well, it'll change with the DQ.
So what is the
But it'll
amount
be the
that
same.
we're,
Is it 406 is what they have to do.
406.
Yeah, it might be 430.
Yeah, so with him to cover whatever after 406, then the state doesn't. So either they'll get us 356 or 306.
3 or 4?
It can be used to pay off the short-term notes, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay, that's the difference between the state.
That's the difference.
As a matter of fact, the WIFIA would prefer to. The other thing that's weird is WIFIA never puts the accrued interest in the dollar numbers. So actual dollars are higher than anything you'll see on paper from them.
Million we talked about for the last year and a half.
Yeah.
That would include the interest.
Mhm.
Your-
Kelly, did you get your question answered?
I think so.
You got interrupted.
I think so, yeah,
Okay.
just trying to put it all together.
Well, it's a waiting game.
Yeah. Keep track on
Did you go to Washington DC
Yeah,
last month?
We did,
You did, okay.
we did. David went also.
Okay, next is Hepner floodplain.
We got some good news from DEQ. We're approved to move forward up there, so hopefully here in the next month, we'll get that back up to bid.
So what does that mean, move forward?
Basically what it was, we had to do a bunch of testing.
Yeah.
They were worried about chemicals or whatever was in the soil. We went out and had a bunch more test holes. Got all those samples, all of them came back good. So now we are cleared to do all flood mitigation work in that area. So
So this latest round was stuff that didn't get closed.
they wanted more. So what we did the first time wasn't enough. We thought it was enough. They thought it was enough too, but then they came back with these other requirements.
So that's different than the open folder they had?
If that's something, Joe, that we're still working on,
Okay.
GSI is gonna continue working on that after we get done with this project and try to get the site cleared. Because a lot of that work was done back in the 2000s, up to like 2012, but it all wasn't consolidated. So GSI is putting all of it together, and then they'll go back up and they need more additional testing in any of these areas, so we can get the site clear.
So that was through DEQ that you're talking about, but this is through a floodplain, something different or the same?
Same thing, DEQ and floodplain,
Same.
same thing.
This is the project along the creek to remove the majority of that land out of the flood, whatever. So I can't say that word right at the moment. However, that's just along the creek, the mitigating area where they'll move. So the rest of the property though still isn't cleared for DEQ building now. You know, because we were commenting, we did a lot of work in the 2000s, but it was never closed out. You know, if it had been closed out or, you know, or whatever they wanted, it would have been easy to put the courthouse there because it would be cleared. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Okay. And so that's the work along the creek, like you say, like.
Yeah.
You're moving dirt like 100 feet away or.
Most of the dirt's gonna be moved off-site. We've got a fill site just up on top of the hill, the canyon, next to the golf course. There's a place up there, people have picked up the dirt, we've got permission from the owner to put that dirt there. So.
This will at least open it up so that people that want to do something at the plat, say they like a building that's there, they can at least modify it. Before they couldn't even modify it because of if you changed it or I don't remember the rules, but were prohibited. Great, thank you.
Okay. Next is OHA and the SEP.
I think, can I go through that? Okay, so as part of our, DEQ penalty, we were able to pay a portion of that to OHA for a supplemental environmental project or SEP. And this was the report that OHA provided us about July 5th through June 30. And at that time, they had received from us half of the funds. Since that time, we've made one payment, which was due in September for the $322,000. We have two more payments coming up. One, the end of June 2025, the other June 2026. Both payments are $322 something. And so they submitted to us their expenditures. We had an opportunity to review. We sent them on to DEQ, and I believe in August, DEQ approved. It said that the expenditures met, you know, the requirements of the agreement. Is there anything else? Okay.
So to qualify for the SEP funds, this process, like the one that Kelly ended up with before the meeting, this is an application for getting those funds or not? How does that work? I'm familiar with the SEP process.
I think they're two separate.
Yeah.
So this is the 2023 SEP agreement with the OHA and how they spent the funds.
So.
Michael's on there.
Yeah. Because OHA was required to report back to us.
Yes, it's part of the agreement.
Yeah.
And our next report is due from them based on March 31st. Michael, do you have any comment? I see you're on the phone.
No, I don't, unless there are questions. The agreement with DEQ for the SEP funds requires that the funds be expended consistently with the SEP agreement. And so if they're not, then the port is on the hook potentially for a double payment because the port would have to pay those funds to the treasury if they're not appropriately spent. So the agreement has a system where OHA submits reports to us, we forward them to DEQ. DEQ then approves them, and that acts as a safe harbor for the port. Once DEQ has approved them, DEQ can't come back to the port and say OHA didn't spend the funds appropriately, you're on the hook. So Eileen described the future. We have a couple more payments. They have 3 more reports. This ends in 2028. There is another penalty pending. $727,050. That was from last winter's non-growing season violations. 80% of that is eligible for a SEP payment. The DEQ asked us what we wanted to do with that. We tried to support the county with the county project. DEQ basically said it supported the county project, but had some concerns and wasn't going to approve that. They essentially called the question on us, and we said that we would contribute the 80% of the pending penalty to the existing OHA SEP. We don't have an agreement yet, so that's not in stone, but that's what we've told DEQ.
I submitted today for you guys to look at a plan that the community group would like to support, and it keeps the dollars local. I put it into your packets. And I think that, you know, since the county didn't get theirs, that we should spend that money locally. You know, I have concern, you know, with giving that money to the state. And we all had concerns about that before. Anyway, it's a project that I think that we should look at and make a decision if we would like to support a community project that was written and designed for the community.
I will say that we've got a meeting on Thursday. We have a meeting on Thursday with DEQ, OHA, Morrow County, and the port to talk about the last application, the application that we have in.
Money through OHA to county. Or like the water consortium mean, or?
Basically the application that Morrow County submitted.
Okay. The main reason that DEQ didn't like to support the project we first presented, it wasn't a complete project. But they want everything done, absolutely everything done to show that the project was totally completed. So if you try to just nip off this much, they won't agree to it. And that's the pushback we got.
Develop a project.
Yeah, they would not support, say we wanted to do a design for a whole system out there and take $1 million for design. Nope. No, it's gotta be design, construction. Okay. All the engineering, every bit of it, and there wasn't enough money to get that into those projects. Right. And that's what we kept getting for us. So
You're developing a project that you can't afford?
well,
You have to change.
there's gotta be more money to go with it.
Oh, okay.
I think if there was more funds to go with it, maybe something could have happened. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, the project that I put forward was pre-approved by the DEQ, so it's good to go, you know, read it, look at it. I think it would be a boon to our public perception of what the port's willing to do for the people. I really do. I you know, it was written with the community group involvement, which is important, but you know, they need to be involved in the decisions. And I think that this puts our good foot forward. This is looks like we're supporting the community.
I would like to have time to look at this as a, and the meeting with the county, I'd like to hear how that goes. If this could be on the agenda for next month, so we can discuss this and the county also. All right.
Michael, how much time do we have? Is there a deadline on this?
Well, we don't have a deadline. As I said, we were kind of given a deadline by DEQ a couple of months ago when they told us that they would not approve the county SEP. In response to that deadline, we told them in writing that we would contribute to the existing OHA SEP, which does restrict OHA to projects in Laguama. So it's not a statewide program. So OHA is required to spend those funds in the area. So we have told DEQ that we would do that. We do not, though, have an agreement with DEQ or with OHA to implement that. So that's kind of where it stands.
Did you say we were gonna have another meeting, Lisa, next week, within 10 days?
No, we have to advertise for 10 days prior to the meeting. And we've got to make next week's newspaper deadline, so it's going to be the week after, the week after that.
Is that for the hearing or something? Is that for the budget?
Ordinance, we are required to do an ordinance for the consortium intergovernmental agreement.
Oh,
So we've got that, and we just decided we'd talk about one more thing then. What was it?
Oh, the
it was, yeah,
guidance from the commission on
on the PRES commission,
Right.
or the boards.
Yeah.
I would like to see that added to your agenda in the next 2 weeks, if it's a possibility. Just to-
Like Michael said, I think that we set up a meeting with Morrow County and DEQ and OHA to try and get the project that was submitted approved and completed through OHA. That's the goal of the meeting on Thursday, is to get that done. So I guess we'll see. I'll give you an update after the Thursday meeting.
The dollars that are available, is it, what amount of dollars? I'm sorry, I should have.
581, Michael, 581,000.
That's correct. It's 80% of the penalty.
This project, like from the community group, is 577,000. So it's hard to do both the dollars that we have. Well, we can put on the agenda to discuss. For our next meeting when we have one.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on that? Okay. Any other?
We got a couple of others. We had the appeal of the land use decision by the planning commission in the court. We won that appeal. There's a map in front of you guys. There. What shows the 280 acres? There's a planning commission put a buffer around the court with Farm 6, and we proposed the second page. And even though we didn't have to propose that buffer in 12 acres, we did it in good faith for the landowners next door because they were concerned about their water. And the county court approved it. So,
okay.
The only thing that's happening now is maybe Mendrix might appeal, but I seriously doubt it. So,
What was their concern?
everything to do with our water. So,
Okay.
you know, I try tried to explain to me, we land apply right next to food processing plants, we land apply right next to data centers. And we fill our water. So,
And this is the land we're talking about with our monitoring, we're out there twice a day.
that's exactly right. Yeah. And we'll be able to take care of that with the new technology they have on the guns and the last span, so that we can give them, I think it's 150-foot buffer. You're the one that drew the.
I don't know, I was under 10 or 2, is that?
Yeah, no, you were, yeah, you're kind of.
150 feet.
But it's about
Yeah,
12
it's right.
acres. It's about 12 acres worth of ground instead of 280. And that 280 is, you know, that's $4 to $5 million right there, 8 acres. So.
And that map was consistent with the map that was originally submitted by the opposition to our original application.
The one, the second page, the one that we settled.
Yeah. Yeah, that was proposed by Mendrick from their irrigation specialist for the original.
Okay.
I listened to that meeting and I just have some concerns that we really should make sure that we are really good neighbors with these folks. You know, their concerns are, you know, contamination of their feed bunks and their animals, the welfare of their people, you know, and I get that we have, you know, can we do drop tubes? Can we, you know, shut down on windy days? Is there any kind of things that we can do as just as good neighbors that, you know, I get it, the land use thing is they can't set conditions on something that's an allowable use. But as a court, I think that we should do everything that we can to mitigate those concerns of those people. You know, they ask for, you know, what's in the water so they can mitigate those things if those, you know, if there is overspray into their bunks or onto their folks or onto their cattle, you know, should they not be awarded, you know, that information to know what is actually being applied or, you know, possibly blown over and, you know, I don't know what they'll do. It was really a concern, you know, to watch two farmers, you know, go head to head and try to compete that way. You know, it is their livelihood, the court's, you know, position. But I just want to see us be good neighbors and do everything that we can in our power to, you know, if it is shut down on a windy day, or if it is do drop tubes, or, you know, hopefully that the setback is enough. I don't.
We feel that it is, you know, it should resolve any concerns, and if it is blowing 60 miles an hour down there, we'll shut things down unless we're losing soil. You know, they don't want that either.
Right.
But we have the same concern with his, because he'll be blowing, you know, it won't be food waste, it's gonna be manure onto ours, which we have concerns with. So everybody's gotta.
Yeah, that's what I say. Good
Yeah,
neighbors are good
they're
neighbors.
gonna be good neighbors.
Yeah, it
And
goes
that's the
both
reason-
ways.
I mean, we knew we could have gotten this done without this buffer.
Yeah,
If
and
we
that's what I
decided
said.
to-
It's like,
we decided
I
to do
understand
the
that we, you know, we didn't have to do this.
Mhm.
But we can do and what we should do might be two different things.
What two farmers left it? You said two farmers.
Just us, I mean,
Yeah,
us being
us.
farmers and them being farmers, not another subset, just,
Okay.
you know, two entities working along a common fence, basically, have to be good neighbors.
Well, and as Jacob said, this map came from them. This is the map that came to.
Well, that's our map, but it was based off of theirs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's something that wasn't shared in the first planning commission meeting, the second one gets.
It was, but it was handed to us when we walked into the room, so the meeting was started and the opposition brought that in paper form to the beginning of the meeting. So we addressed it, but couldn't address it to the extent we did, I think, the last meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kelly's right. You get into it and say this buffer, we basically got drawn on that, isn't quite enough. But it's not the end of the world to increase it a little bit because.
yeah, and it might, you know, save us some litigation. We're worried about litigation, you know, when we blow water over there to someone, I mean, it's water trespass. It's happened down in our streets. With, you know.
What happens on the roads all the time.
on the roads and on
all-
circle guns, you know, that are, and that's freshwater, so, you know, I think that we open the door a little bit if we're not really, really careful, and we should be, you know, let's say good neighbors,
We can do it.
we can do it.
Any questions on that? The other one I have is the Erie Incubator Building. I think Walter will have those plans done in just a couple of weeks. I'm hoping.
Should be by tomorrow.
Oh, really?
That's,
That's good.
yeah.
Good. But anyway, we're trying to get that project pushed forward. I do need to have a conversation with Aaron. Go over that document, the federal document, to make sure that the documents are put together right. We're gonna help you review the documents.
Good. They're more than one page, probably.
Yeah.
Where is that going, Mark? Where?
Is Aaron on there? Aaron's on there. Aaron, where's exactly is your building going?
Say again, Mark,
The incubator building.
what Billy doing?
Where's it gonna go?
Where's what gonna go?
Incubator building, your incubator building.
I can't hear you. I turned it down because I'm looking at other stuff. You guys were busy talking. And so you gotta holler louder, Mark. So
Where's your Oregon incubator building going?
where the cabins used to be. Do you know where the cabins were?
Yes,
It's about 900 block on US 730. By the way, that is the address.
so right on 730.
Right on 730 on the south side.
Got it. How big is that building?
We've shrunk it down, so I don't know what the latest is. It was about 6,000, and I think we're under. I'm going to say we're around 5 right now. I think 5,200. I don't know. We've cut it down to keep the cost down, and then, but it will have the capability. If we need to add in the future, we can add on to it. That'll be on the north side if we add an extension on it. So we've taken out one potential rental space, make it smaller. Mark ran away. He's hiding.
Got it at all. Aaron, could you send me the federal agreement on that? Of any, so we make sure we get the bid documents correct, and any special requirements?
Yes, I'll do that. Why don't you come pick it up? I'll get coffee.
If I have time to do that, I would.
Kitty. Let me make a note. I will. I gotta write this so I don't forget. Grant, the USDA grant. Any other questions? Sorry about that.
Is it gonna be like the one that you guys are kind of proposing? Is it food handling? And what are you thinking about projects in your incubator space?
Well, in the space, because the contract has an end date, we're gonna build it so that it will be like, I'm gonna call it, help me on this, Mark, an envelope kind of thing. And then if somebody rents it, they're gonna be able to go in and add specifics of how and what they need within that area. So the Port of Morrow team has been doing a great job fine tuning it. How do we get to yes? So the individual working on that is Walter, and I met with him last week. It's really, really good. Looks good. Now, and then I sent Mark an email. So we got to work on how do we get that document out. But I think it's going to be, Kelly, going to be really well. We don't know what and how people are going to lease the space yet, but we've got to get it built. And then there might be some fine tuning afterwards, because costs for anyone doing an incubator just went through the roof.
Okay. Thank you.
Good, thanks, Aaron.
Thank you. Any other questions for Arian? I'm gonna go silent again.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mark?
No, not on my business. I think we're good.
And it looks like Lisa stepped out. I think she had to sit there to do payroll.
Yes, I agree. Yes, we
Okay.
should never have a meeting on payroll day.
My point earlier, my question earlier was about guidance to the representatives to the different voting groups. Can that be a discussion that we have in the next coming up meeting? Because I'm not sure when Trust 2 and Trust 3 will be meeting, but.
I think that was what she talked about, moving from the. Yeah. That'd be good.
All right.
Okay. As opposed to putting it here today.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have
Yeah.
information to even discuss hardly, but other than general.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, anything else on other old business? Okay, new business is the appointment of budget officer and approve the budget calendar. The budget calendar is in there. I think, was that under finances? What was that?
That's under new business.
New business, what do you know? So typically, you've been budget officer, Eileen?
Yes.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I would move that we appoint Eileen as the budget officer and approve the presented budget calendar for the year 2025-26.
I'll second that.
I have one, I will be gone,
oh,
Oh,
okay.
I'll be gone on April 9th, so just wanted to bring up, but
don't we have an alternate? Do we have an alternate? Did we do an alternate?
We probably better get to discussion first, and then.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying, let's discuss it.
oh,
We'll get to discussion. We got a motion on,
I think we have a second too. so-
and we got a second.
okay,
So, now we're in discussion.
oh, okay,
So you have a conflict on the ninth,
yes.
April 9th, okay. And that's our first meeting.
Mhm.
That's just our standard commission date, so.
Yeah, it's not the audit committee, it's the whole. Or I mean, yeah. The budget,
Yeah, budget committee.
I guess I wouldn't,
I have no objection to you postponing the first meeting. I'll do that. No problem whatsoever with that.
So to keep on schedule, we should have another one on May 14th. Then if we pushed it back to April 25th or something,
You could do that, or you could do 2 in May, whatever works. We just need to get it approved by the end of June, or we're in trouble.
So we can move, say, April 1st.
She wants it backwards.
Yeah, April Fool's Day, that would be a good day.
I'm open to moving that date, if it's so. Needed, so.
yeah, I'm,
I just have one, I asked somebody to sit on the budget committee and I gave them these 2 dates. That's my
oh,
only
that's true.
question. Maybe they can accommodate as well, but
Right.
Well,
I did this well, but hopefully. people can change.
yeah, I think that they'll probably be okay to change it. I mean, we don't have, is there,
Okay,
with the committee, we all get out together. Do we just have to have a forum?
yes,
Okay, then I'm okay with this.
okay. Because sometimes we have people that say that those dates work
Yeah,
and then
right.
they don't.
Yeah, okay, that's what, okay, I'm fine.
yeah, so
We're on a move.
we could leave it the same if that's what everyone prefers.
and it's just the one you're
It's
gonna.
just the one, yeah, okay, it's May 14th, yes.
I would say we just leave
Leave it as,
like it's.
okay,
Then everybody.
Right.
Or appointees are at least for now set. Sorry. Pressure's on. Okay, so that gets us back to our original motion here. to approve that calendar date. Rick did, and Kelly, did I write that down? Rick did, and Kelly said, okay, any other discussion on it? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries, unanimous. Okay, next is BCDA presentation. Lori. Yes, Lori.
This is kind of my favorite time, is when you get those all together at the end of the year and realize how much work you actually did. And everything about the presentation, coming here shortly for me. Recap of what we did, so you can go to the next one. As we just kind of go through this, I just want to remind everybody what our mission is, and our mission really focuses on the housing, commercial, retail, and workforce training. And the workforce training stuff is, when we talk about collaboration, we like to collaborate with the city of Portland, the Port of Morrow, other businesses and nonprofits within our community to really expand our impact, what we have done here with BCDA. The areas that we focus on when we are making all decisions regarding, we created these buckets back in the day, and we focus on housing, community livability, education, events, childcare, and retail. We start off with our main thing of what we've been doing for the longest, and I'm not sure if 2014 is correct, but that is what we did. We have 250,000 invested in home buyers. $2.3 million invested, and since then, that's a huge number. What was crazy is to see the 56% purchase new construction homes, so we're starting to see less turnover of original homes are not being moved as often. For a while, it was almost equal, and now we're seeing that shift more to the new construction, which is great for our new construction homes. River Ridge Estates continues to build phase 1, phase 2. I think they're all the way to phase 6 now, which phase 7 is almost to be done. And by the time they're all said, that'll be running from Wilson Road to Coonsey Road, and they're just about there now. 67% were priced between $300,000 and $400,000, the home values. So I thought that was a really odd number when we collect that data, that I didn't realize that many houses sold in that price point. Here at recent though, we have seen a decrease of homes going under 300,000, which is great to see, because that's the number, that's the magic number they've been requesting, is to get homes under 300,000 to kind of get more of that affordable for our younger generations that are trying to live on 2 incomes and still survive with children and cars and life. And just reiterate what we do. So when we were talking about this, I always just say what we're trying to do in Portland is make it a great place to live, work, and play. So as we move forward our investment. So here was a partnership project with the San Borman Elementary Sidewalk Project. We've talked about it a lot here in my meetings and updates. It was completed in July. This is a partnership with the city of Borman and local businesses as being AWS and Lamb Weston. And improve the public safety of pedestrians around the area. Some will argue it improved traffic improvements. Some will argue that really in hindsight, that problem that San Borman is a bigger problem that needs to be addressed in either a long or later on development, because their parking lot is just not big enough for the growth that we've seen in our grade schools. This next one was the play structure at the State Center. If anybody knows some back history on that, that was actually a residential play structure, very small. It could have fit in this little room right here footprint. We have over 3,000 kids coming to the State Center now, between the ages of 1st grade to high school. And our play structure was needing daily maintenance on it almost, because the bolts were all starting to get wobbled out, because it was just a regular board wood.
And through our drastic changes in temperatures, we all know that stuff kind of goes back and forth. So this new structure is all metal. It is plastic. We did inside tubes for those days. So solid tube slides are made for places with high heat and extreme colds, because the high heat by being in shade doesn't make that hot, so when kids slide down it. It made that. We made it, it's ADA required, it's ADA accessible. We've added STEAM focused education into it with side panels. We've made obstacle courses, and we've spread it out to the full length of that area, so we can actually double the footprint of kids that we can actually have on the play structure at the same time. We have school visits of up to 150 kids come at a time, and we rotate them 50 to 60 times at a time through the inside and outside. And we were seeing that our play structure wasn't meeting the needs of our community. On top of that, we've had a huge increase of kids stopping by with the charging stations. Charging stations have increased usability 20% since last year. So we're starting to see that we are kind of like a hotspot for EV chargers in the region. Also, I think you've noticed an increase in local uses of EV cars now as well, because of our facility, and people just have there's a great grants going out there and stuff for that. This was a partnership with AWS, again, contributing money, Fremont Canadian Farms contributing money, and then I also went out and received a grant from Ag West for their rural engagement, community engagement grant that they did, and that was exciting. Go ahead, that one more page. Some more pictures of what it looks like. The build was delayed a little bit through some contracting and negotiation stuff, and so when it's all said and done, that bottom picture is just kind of a design template, but that's what the floor is going to look like. It's going to be a rubber, hard, solid, not hard, but a solid material where people with wheelchairs and walkers and stuff will be able to access it. There is a couple ADA swings. There's the sensory boards around the outside where kids that are limited mobility will be able to access and use our facility and still be able to be in there with their friends because it's accessible that way. Also, we added swings. We added bigger swings. Our swings were the #1 thing that everybody wanted to use. So we doubled the number of swings and stretched them out to where they can do more agility stuff, which is going to be fun to see. Next thing. These are our annual community contributions that we do. The Boardman and Park and Rec District, we do 90,000. This is a new one for this year of 90,000, and that covers youth registration. Before they had to just send us invoices, and all we were doing was just doing invoices and payments. This year we just did a one set fee of 90,000, and that covers youth registration fees, youth sports expenses, because the Park and Rec has now taken over all the youth sports in the community. They had to rebuild their jerseys and equipment and stuff like that. Families First Childcare, they do 35,000 to them. We increased that one this year. And then we added the senior center this year to $10,000, and that's for capital improvements. The senior center is starting to age, and they're needing floors and paint and window treatments and stuff like that. And they're really trying to grow and encourage people to come, and so they really utilize this money right here. Additional investments that you don't see, that's not like an actual project out there. We did a hotel feasibility study. That was an interesting study. At first, when they came, there was on one specific location. We turned it into quadrants of Boardman. So we did 4 quadrants and had them study the 4 quadrants of Boardman to tell us the ideal location for hotels, because with this expansion of this age center, hoteliers are coming to us and needing support. And by having this hotel feasibility study done, this gives them proof in documentation when they're going after their loan approvals to get funding for the building of their hotels. This gives them the actual factual information data collected through this feasibility study. And by us doing it, it's a very high level, non-biased opinion, and it allows them to all utilize this money. We sponsored the Bass Angler Pro and Pro Bass Tournament that brought in about, I think there was 40 boats the first time, and we're the pro, I think we had 30 boats. They came and fished for 4 or 5 days. That impacted our hoteliers, our restaurants, and our gas stations, and it just had a really big economic impact in our community. I think it was just a great way we can give back and get money back into our community and support. The track program hosted the district track meet. That was new this year. They had to upgrade a lot of their equipment to meet the need of be able to host the track meet. And by doing that, we supported them with a contribution to purchase equipment. And once again, that was another economic impact. They were here for, I think they were here for 2 days. And it was a huge event. And it was just great to see that. We also continue to be fiscal agents and pass-throughs for businesses in the area to other nonprofits, to other community members. A lot of organizations are not able to accept grants because they're not a 501c3. We are one. So we kind of see people like, say you have a foundation. We don't really have a foundation, we have an association, a development association. And that's similar to what a foundation, that's the way we can support our community, by being fiscal agents and pass-throughs.
Your hotel feasibility study quadrants corresponded with the extension of the credit zone, I assume?
Yes, that, yep, and exactly, that mirrored the expansion of that. And so what we did is we just divided Boardman into 4 quadrants along the freeway and Main Street, and that became our 4th quadrant, and that mirrored our expansion of the. So here's the Boardman Business Opportunity Incubator Project, similar to what Urigan is doing right now. We have about $1.5 million on that. It's going to be a focus on small and medium businesses with emphasis of women, minority owned, and low income. It's going to be located on our property down on Northeast High Street. We're going to do a startup where your lease rates are below market value, and then we'll build to where they're sustainable on that. And then hopefully at that point in time, we maybe build some more buildings where we can move them to another building and then start the process all over again with another small business. Go ahead. And then your review, I just kind of put those numbers out there for you to see where we kind of go with recreation and community development. It's just fun to see when we have actually put the dollars out there. Okay. And then for 2025, we are currently distributing a survey around the community right now. We have, I think, 78 responses, and it's only been out for about a week, and we haven't done a whole lot of marketing on that. So we're going to have a follow-up community discussion on February 12th to discuss the results of the survey and future needs of Boardman. It just kind of creates a draft of what people in the community wants to see what Boardman to look like, where you can share that with our school district, we can share it with our city, we can share it park and rec district. It's a collaboration survey where we are just driving, and then we can have partnerships with everybody that it impacts or could impact. And so we're seeing a lot of great information from it. There's some stuff that I was shocked to see, what people feel is really important and what people don't feel is as important. So it's been good. We'll continue to home buyer incentive just because we need to continue to encourage people to live where they work. And just make Boardman a great place. And then our little small project that I forgot about is the mural. Welcome to Boardman. It's going to be on the east end of the car wash. I've been working with the owner of that. Jesse, he is a great guy. He has expanded, if you guys don't know. Inside there, he does wash and fold, where you can drop your laundry off and he'll wash and fold it for you. And then he's also looking into dry cleaning, doing a drop-off pickup dry cleaning opportunity. So I talked to him about it because we have a lot of people that drive and go to Hermiston to do the same thing what Such does. And he said he was going to reach out to Such does and see if we can't create some kind of similar, smaller service like that here in our community. Because I know the police department usually do, the sheriff's department, all of us that do it. I mean, I think it'd be a great service and benefit our community and keep it local.
The city did a questionnaire recently too.
Mm-hmm.
How does BTDA tie into that?
So what the city did was for their city, they're doing their economic development analysis, like their overall what they want to see, and they were driving that to exactly the questions they were doing. The questions that I've asked was about the same survey questions I've been asking. This is my 3rd survey that I've done, and they're the exact same questions that I've asked in the past. And it just kind of overlaps a little bit with what they're seeing, what they're seeing or what they asked. Sometimes when you ask a question a little bit differently, you get a little bit different response, and I'll share all these responses with with our city partner and stuff, just also be official. So that's all I have, just made it really quick and short. Any questions, other questions? No? You guys.
Yeah, very good. Next is proposed SEO bylaws. Didn't have that in packet two. What is the rundown on that?
I was gonna say, I didn't put the actual bylaws in the packet, but the letter from SDAO was in there. I did give a copy to each of the three that I know are going. I emailed it to you all. But I gave it to each of the three that I know are going to SDAO. They are asking for us to designate a voting member and vote, be prepared to vote at the annual conference in February.
Who wants to be a voting member?
John does.
Okay. I'm clear.
It's all good. Please, if you have thoughts on this, get them to me.
Well, yeah, they look fine. You good with that?
I have.
Did they have one action?
I looked at the letter.
Anything or just a?
No. Okay. You guys just need to decide and then you'll vote there. There wasn't a lot of substance.
So if you say you're gonna vote, you have to go to that meeting.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I did. Oh, that's what you're thinking circle where
The cover letter that's in your packet, it does outline the changes. There wasn't.
Well, they weren't.
No.
Not substantial.
No.
But I shouldn't say I read them, should I?
Which is why I printed them off for you so that you could take them.
Sure, Joel's a delicate. Yes, he's professional.
Okay, moving on to other new business, is there any other new business you want?
Yes. Sam, did you get my email?
What, email about what?
I just sent you an email.
Just look at your message.
Give me a hint. I have 14 emails.
Very top one. It's the very top one.
What's it about?
It is about, emergency order from the governor's office. Got it.
I've got it and I'm reading it.
You want Ryan to maybe?
Yes. So Ryan, on the call?
Yes.
Hi, Commissioners. Earlier today during my report, I mentioned that I would report back if there was any movement on providing a plan to ensure that there would be no port shutdown through the winter. And this was the plan that the governor's office had come to. This was a decision that they had made. This was not something that the port had requested of the governor's office, though it is very closely aligned with what the port submitted in its emergency permit request. I believe MIF is in the room and can speak to any of the conditions that are outlined. I did my best to get it out to folks with enough time to review. Well, when it was announced. So that's kind of a quick overview. Miff, I don't know if you want to take a few minutes to go over what the conditions are.
Nick is not in the room. And Michael just dropped off at 3:10. We were hoping to get to it before he had to leave, but.
Well. Well, this just got this.
Yes.
Just
At
got.
2:30. I believe the emergency order was signed at 12:30, but released at 2:30.
That is correct.
So she's kind of stepping in above our request or basically
Yeah.
the same request.
So this removes any violation, like any violation. From January 15th through February 20th.
And commissioners, I will add, I was one of the people elevating this to the governor's office. There were a number of other folks in the ecosystem that were also making that same request. And I imagine this was what the best option that the governor could land on to ensure that there would be no economic harm in the region while also protecting groundwater for well users.
This is Sam. It looks like we were talking before about the down gradient users, and they're going to require, which we agreed to put it on the water, which will put it on the lands, which will not downgrade wells. And that's what Michael had talked about and tried to convince them to do. Just looked at it. I think that's excellent news, people.
So what you have is a press release, but we're getting Maria to print the actual order itself.
That's what I asked, if you want me to print that or not.
So that'd be the DEQ document that's coming?
Yeah, it's actually, well,
No,
this is
governor's office.
governor's office.
Which means the port will be withdrawing our emergency permit.
Yes, we will. So finish reading that and we'll get you the next document to read.
Lisa, if it's helpful, I believe I have it pulled up. I could
Okay, that would be great.
Can you all see that okay? I'm going to scroll down to get as much text as possible.
Maybe blow that.
Oh, make it bigger.
For Mark.
Make it bigger?
Yeah, Mark. For Mark. We always blame it on Mark. For Mark.
Thank you, perfect.
See whereas. Okay.
I'm going to scroll a little. Just scroll a little bit.
You can scroll down, Ryan. Everybody's looking at a piece of paper now.
Oh, okay. I'll go ahead and stop sharing that.
To that document in the chat.
Thank you.
then you gotta get, concurrent with DEQ.
Yes,
I think
we
that
will.
would happen very
Quickly, yeah. Yeah.
You know about that, Lisa, and
Anything
how
else?
it affects it one way or the other?
And, we will continue to put wastewater on, over the next 45 days through the end of February as approved by DEQ. If you have any other questions about that, after you've had time to read it and digest it, and we will in turn request, to DEQ the review of our request for a permit modification.
We do have the plants going down too. In fact, the Portland West plant goes down in a week. And it doesn't come back up until March 1st.
Really?
So that's gonna help a ton. So.
What's the reason for their going down?
They've got a bunch of line work they're gonna be doing. So. And they got scheduled this, we've kind of known about this since Christmas, that they were gonna be going down.
Okay.
So, that's gonna help us a lot. And everybody did a lot of consortium this year too, even the small units did. Calvi, Oregon Potato, Oregon Foods, they did everything too. So, and that's the reason I think these numbers are considered a little lower. But, I mean, everybody has made a big effort this year.
But yeah, we'll get through this.
Okay, wow. Anything else on that?
I've been trying not to feel guilty about enjoying the rain, but not.
We were not enjoying this.
No, you're-
I'll tell you
So I
that.
had to property line up.
Right.
All the way around my house.
But yeah,
Okay, anything else on other new business? You have any stuff?
No.
Okay. With that, we'll move on to staff reports and project updates.
Wanna go? I can get what I can, I will get it from the list.
Yeah, you go first and I'll fill in the blanks.
I believe everything is going well. We continue to, maybe Jason knows more since I've been back, we continue to work on trying to get both that documents for the bill grant. I haven't heard an update on that.
Send another, put it down, they're like, yeah, we'll get your engineering group, our engineering group will contact your engineering group and then. If it's,
Airport is starting to really take off. There's a lot of activity going up there. Our Silicon Contracting is putting in our mainline potable water line right now. Things are going relatively slow. I think we'll still, I guess, meet our timeline for needing the pipeline installed to be able to provide water by June 1st to PDX 202. There's a chance for the remainder of the system will go potentially past the contractor thing. So we're still seeing how that's going. There's gonna be a lot of rock and it's just slow progress. Tapping construction is breaking ground on the new 2 million gallon tank and distribution center. And we have all permits in place for the tank. And I think their concrete crew shows up in the coming, I think, 2 weeks out until people are here. The building is, we're gonna proceed with foundations and underground work on the distribution facility. We've got to wait until January 28th for a planning commission hearing for a variance. The facilities in the airport light industrial zone, there are setback requirements that we're traditionally not exposed to in our core industrial zone. So we've got 20-foot setback from the road that we're going to have to get a variance for due to the wellhead location. So we got to wait until January 28th to get a building permit for that facility. Our crews will be moving back out there. Our Tapney will be moving back out there in the coming weeks to finish up the light installation. So I believe they move in February 3rd to continue and finish up our light poles. And we've also been working on getting prices for Tapney to do some new entryway signs. So the 2 new entryways to Tower Road are gonna entail 2 new Port of Morrow entryways that are similar to what you see at the Columbia Avenue interchange. So Port of Morrow and designated road names. So that work will commence in the coming months. The Farm Free Pond project is still chugging ahead of schedule. They're making really good progress. The rain is helping that project. They're not having to put as much water down for their compaction efforts. And the contractor started mobilizing and getting some materials delivered to the farm pond so they can bring ground out there. They can start on some of the keyways and some of the work that doesn't require a lot of water, as we don't have access to water until irrigation season out there. So those projects are all going well. So the Farm 6 pipeline is complete, and we've been working on engineering and approvals needed to get the ponds put into service. So there's kind of some lack of information from the design engineering team that designed the original wastewater lagoons that are out there for originally the manure. Now we're going to reuse those for our purposes with wastewater storage, but the lack of plans, and we're having to remake a bunch of those plans because they're not adequate for DEQ. So we're still working on that, working on requirements from DEQ that we haven't encountered before. They're trying to require some additional backup power necessities, which don't make a lot of sense. Where when the power's out, circles aren't running, so you don't want backup power on your pumping system. So we're still working through that process with DEQ staff. So hopefully we can put the ponds in service soon.
So help me understand. So the pipeline, Farm 6 pipeline goes from Farm 5, Farm 6. What does that mean? What is this?
So when we installed the Madison line that goes out to the Madison Sampling Station, we came down pole line and then headed east as soon as we hit Homestead. So there's some fittings there. We had to go in and evacuate the line, install a new T and valve. And then we went over across the irrigation canal just west of pole line. And then we got into our property and then installed a new line from that location over to the lagoon area, or the main pumping station that distributes the nutrient water to the rest of the farm. And so we were already pretty close. I mean, we were within 100 feet of our own property, and then to get to the new lagoons was the installation of, I think it was less than a mile of pipe.
Do you have to do any installation with those existing, we're talking about the existing lagoons, right? Is it?
They're already double lined. It's just we don't have any information.
So the biggest hurdle is kind of all the auxiliary stuff. So leak sensing. There's not a lot of information on leak sensing, on how they pull the leak sensors from in between the liners, and then we've got to do an analysis for wave action to set freeboard requirements. So when the wind's blowing, we don't end up with water outside the lagoon, and those are all kind of lagoon specific. So
What's the capacity there?
So each pond, if we get away with the same 2 foot of freeboard, which they were originally designed for, is about 13 million gallons per lagoon. And there's there's 2 lagoons that we can occupy as soon as we get DEQ approval, with an additional 2 lagoons if we can get rid of some rainwater. So those lagoons, as it currently operates, also takes a bunch of rainwater from all the hardscape areas throughout the whole dairy location. So we're working on getting a reroute and getting rid of the rainwater so it doesn't occupy the ponds. And then that'll open up additional storage at some later date once we figure out that infrastructure.
But on that, there's about 50 more projects if you guys want to hear about it. They're kind of running low. I mean, you can start at PDX 186.
That's a good point. We broke ground, I think 3 weeks ago on the extension of Garsonville Road. It's going to provide access to PDX 186 on the north end of our East Beach property. And tapping construction was the low bidder. They broke ground, they torn out the old irrigation line for Frederickson's. So the first piece of that project is we have to pull the line out, regrade the road, and then get that irrigation line back installed before irrigation season. That's our priority right now. They've already grubbed the entire facility, and they've started with some railroad crossings for our potable water line crossing and sanitary sewer. So there's a kind of pull all of that project protection, sanitary sewer, industrial wastewater, potable water, road infrastructure, just a little bit of everything.
So was that, I guess, you took out old main lines. When I was out there the other day, I was right next to the wildlife area. That was all scrubbed out and it was plastic pipe. That's an area you're talking about.
Yep. Yeah, we're taking out the old steel line, this concrete line, and replacing it with HDPE pipe. It's going to be under our future road, so we want to put something in there that we don't have to worry about for quite some time.
Yeah. Both freshwater treatment plants are out to bid. Who bids on those?
I think we opened bid on February 13th. A lot of interest, getting a lot of requests, a lot of interest. I think we've personally heard from probably the top 3 biggest contractors in the United States on this.
This is the freshwater treatment?
Yeah, freshwater treatment. It's the 10,000 GPM freshwater treatment plants. One's going at the airport, one's going at East Beach, next to where that new 2 million gallon tank's at.
Okay.
So it's about, the plants are about $99 between the 2 of them.
Okay.
Paid for by our tenant.
Yeah. Everyone.
So they're a really cool plant, very high tech. They're ultra membrane technology, not something we've operated before. They're similar plants. There's one in Pasco and one in Lewiston.
And it's just to make the water potable?
Yeah.
It's the treatment for drinking water.
Yeah, Columbia River water, and it goes through ultra membrane, and then some UV, and we'll chlorinate it, and it'll meet potable water standards.
There's one similar in Pasco. Similar technology.
I guess then the water will be used to irrigate or?
No, it'll be used for industrial use.
Industrial use.
Yeah.
So where's the-
Yes, we have a CID connection. We have 2.
CID out there at the airport?
Huh? Yeah, we're running a pipeline to here. Yeah.
From the CID.
From the CID.
It entails about an 8-mile
I was
pipeline.
gonna say, that's a long way away.
Yeah, it's a big project.
Yeah.
So the pipeline itself is still in design. The construction process for the 2 facilities is about 18 months to 2 years once we sign a contract. The long lead items we pre-ordered, those get delivered in May, and we'll store those in the warehouse until the contractor's ready to install
This is a project that once installed, other users, other businesses out the airport could use.
So there was a latecomers position in those agreements, but only to direct competitors or data centers. So like if we had a food processor or somebody else come in, they would not have to pay for part of that infrastructure.
Really nice to get additional water to the airport.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Definitely.
And, if you got water rights in the Columbia,
We have 10,000, well, actually, we have more than that now. I have about like 46,000 GPM now. Yeah,
Okay.
with the purchase of the farm.
wow,
So we had 10,000 GPM.
And that was through an agreement with CID.
Yeah, we did that.
Put in their pipeline.
Yeah.
So that was part of our payment, since we just take basically the loan payments from CID, there's no markup.
Yeah.
So both plants will get built at 10,000 GPM capacity. We've got water rights, converted to municipal, at 10,000 gallons there right now. And then it'll take some time.
It'll probably take us 2 years to convert the rest of it.
Impressive.
Bad news is we're not getting the P1 dredge this year, guys. So we weren't able to get through the agreement we were at. So we're gonna, well, we actually had a bid out. We're hoping to get the agreement done this month, and the contract is going to start, get it dredged, and it's not out there. That's not gonna happen. I think we'll have an agreement with MIRAD probably around March. Maybe the end of March. And then we have one more year to complete the work. So we've got all next winter to do it. We actually asked the contractor if he wanted to hold his bid, but he couldn't do it. So we're gonna just reject all bids and we'll bid it back out in August next year.
And we talked to Murad when we went to DC, and so we knew there was no way we were gonna get the timeline to get it done this year. And this year is by March 31.
yeah,
So
yeah, middle of January already.
How much money is that? That's a lot of that. Oh, there's money a lot of.
What?
Merit.
1.9,
Yeah.
1.9, 1.6. I thought it was like 1.3, so don't.
You can-
No, I think there's and they.
I wish it was more.
It's either 1.6 or 1.9.
Okay.
Like,
I know it was about 500,000 less than what they asked for. That's $200 grand.
yes.
1.6. So
1.6.
originally 1.8.
Yeah.
Because of the paving or whatever, hard servicing.
And about the only other big project that we just started was Farm 2. We're putting pipelines in, bring water back from PDX 178 back into our system. So that just started this week. We started rolling back.
Yeah. 78 on there.
Any questions? I guess we could go to pick. I think Garrett, it's got a few
Yeah.
pictures.
Let's see some.
Airport road.
You don't say.
And Joe used to farm it.
So did Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Ponds getting up there. You drive around the outside, and you know what's going on. Very good way. That's the new manifold building in Farm 5. Good enough,
one of those interesting things that happens around the court.
Yeah.
I saw it sitting on the barge the other day. I did, it was still on the barge and. You know, I thought about it, I guess, shit, don't do that, but I didn't say. I think they were just getting ready to take it off.
What is it?
What is it?
I don't know, it's all covered in that green
Energy
tarp.
components, I'm not exactly sure what.
So
they're headed.
there's a bunch of pressure vessels and different energy components for airlock or airlock key in Lucy. Okay, is where it's going. This is the first barge of 3. We've got several more, I think. The second, and third barge, I think, coming in February.
I've been told that at least one of the coming barges makes these look small, so.
There's one unit coming that's, I believe it's over 300 feet long and weighs.
Where do they go from here?
So their route as it sits today is they're gonna leave the port. They snake over and get to 395. Then they go down to John Day.
Whoa.
And then east, and they're planning on doing it in February. You see, when there's a highway shut down, a big load for a month because of that, it's this much.
Wow.
Imagine they're still sitting there. They were the other day.
Yeah, they're still there. They don't leave till
They're
February.
parked in the corner.
So that's, they use the heavy IMY through the gorge, is that right?
No, they were barged up. The
Barged
gorge
here,
and unloaded here.
Yeah,
And they'll,
I'm sorry, but on the river they were.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. I'm glad it's being
That's
used.
not be too heavy, they must be just overly large.
Large size.
Yeah.
Yeah, too tall. I think the Limo's gonna be over 25 feet tall. So that's their biggest hurdle is
Cause
height.
height, not weight, cause I was gonna say, going through John Day, there's a lot of bridges that are. That's a pretty low weight, even when a cattle truck, you gotta be careful,
Yeah,
so.
hopefully they know what they're doing.
And this is, I think we talked about this before, this is for one of many. Seems like there's been a big uptick in requests for bringing cargo with via barge.
What was the reason for that?
I think they said,
Correct.
yeah, the Terra, you know, getting their stuff up before the tariffs start.
I think that was for these, you know, to get in front of changing
Administration.
politics, but there's several more in the distant future that Houston's really getting bogged down in traffic. Normally, most of these big projects come in through Houston and then truck up to the north from the Gulf, but they are having big time backups and delays.
Now they're gonna take it 395.
Yeah.
I never ready to go on that.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, like to see the increased use.
Anything else on projects?
No.
Did that cover any maintenance? Some of those pictures?
Yeah, those pictures, that's what our crews are working on right now. It's farm 6, now they're on farm 2.
Okay, we'll move on to financial update.
Okay, you'll see from the cash schedule that we are maintaining our, unrestricted cash balance. The restricted goes down as the construction goes up. But that's anticipated. We talked about the discharge fund. But you'll notice, with the site, we have a problem everywhere, on our insurance costs are now over $800,000 a year. They've gone up substantially, and not necessarily because of any cause other than we keep building stuff. And they want to cover it. And we didn't quite inch up our dollar number quite enough. Warehouse, you'll see that their unusually under budget on their expenditures, but they're also unusually under budget on the revenues. So it's holding pretty consistent proportionate wise. We're not overspending the money that they have been getting in, which is good.
So you think, I mean, I saw Marcine's report with Lamb Weston being down for maintenance and stuff. And what kind of lag goes into freezer warehouse, any idea?
Oh, we're gonna get it.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, there was already a decrease.
Yeah, yeah.
So, just have,
Yeah.
vacation, I guess. But yeah, it's good.
And is there a minimum type of on the warehouse? Just goes down, goes down.
Yeah, we don't have any minimums in our current contracts. Years ago, we used to have minimums on our wastewater charges. And they were based on the current loans. And as those loans started to pay off, our revenue was going to drop substantially, you know, our markup on that. And so we took a leap of faith back in 2007, which up until now has been absolutely worth it. But we kind of moved away. We took more risk for more benefit at the time.
Okay. Any questions for Arlene on that? Okay, usage reports, those are in your packet, so everybody got a chance to look at those. Any other staff reports that we need to know about? Will Creek Economic Development Group, I don't see Kim on there at all. Okay. DCBA, you want to give any further, Troy? Okay, very good. Mike Bo.
They didn't meet, they were sick. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
tour was going good. Of course, I didn't go to the last meeting. As you can
that was
see.
it. Yeah.
I think they're almost done getting up, the grade to top where the
Exactly,
goes
yeah.
out. So, yeah, I started working in Canada to speak of it, but.
They're pretty pipe in the ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did they reschedule that meeting for this week?
I don't know. Ted was gone and Stacy was sick. That's the last I've heard.
Yeah. And said they might reschedule it this week, but
Oh, did they? Okay.
I haven't seen it.
Okay. Any other reports we need to know about? Okay, next is, for the good of the order, anything on top of that? So we have a list of upcoming events here. The candidate filing period, SDO.
What's the first one that's due by February 4th? How's that different from the other reports, the other filings?
That's the filing
Beginning date.
for February 15th.
If you're wanting to be reelected, that's the period that you have to submit your paperwork to the county.
So you have to do that before the filing.
During the bids.
It says February 4th.
That
No.
is, yeah,
I'm not seeing that, February 8th to March 20th.
I do.
I want to see that was something for Bob and Childers.
And what I gave
Okay.
you,
Four.
yes, is the three people that have elections this year. You're the only three that got a copy of the letter from Bobby, so her dates are different.
Huh, how strange.
Just don't go past the second one.
Yes.
Right.
Just until March 20th.
All right.
Apologize if I typed that in wrong when I was doing it.
Well,
Okay.
I don't know what you did, but, because I read through it and Bobby's thing was different, and I was like, what is she talking about? And I get to look into it.
She's the one in charge, isn't she? Okay.
Second one is a hard deadline.
Yes, just make sure that March.
Okay.
Is everyone signed up for special districts that wants to go? Okay, hotels, everything's confirmed. Okay.
Have you got any information on Mission to Washington? There?
That is the dates. If you are used to going to PNWA, where you would fly in on Saturday, you'd start with the reception on Sunday, and then the meetings would go Monday through Thursday. They've cut a day out of that. So now you would fly in on Sunday, reception on Monday. And it's not just a reception, it is going through the whole agenda, and then meetings Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
And that is commission week in case that.
It's our commission meeting is that Wednesday, so we will get to move another meeting.
You didn't know you got a whole week?
No.
Okay, now I have answered your question. That letter, February 4th, was actually to us. We have to fill out paperwork.
Oh,
She had to fill out a form saying,
It's already been returned.
right, we have to return it saying that our district. So that's been done. Yours
That's been
is
done.
February 8th through March 9th.
okay, good.
So if anyone's interested in Mission to Washington, hotels are full at the hotel. The conference is at. Maria's got, I'm looking for Maria, she's got, I think, a hold on 4 or 5 rooms right now, in case anyone wants to go.
Thanks, Mayor.
Okay.
One thing I forgot to put on there was the city county court. I sent you all the agenda, January 28th. And January 21st is an RSVP, so they have a good head count there. In Lexington, Found City, out of Lexington.
We do have executive session items, so if we could take a short break, that would be great.
Let me read through this, our executive session. Before we hold an executive session meeting for the permissible reasons stated below under ORS 292.6602. Representatives of news media and designated staff and other persons shall be allowed to attend executive sessions. All other members of the audience will be asked to leave the room. The public virtual Zoom meeting link will be closed during the executive session as permissible executive session meetings on HB 2560. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision will be made in this executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room in person and the public meeting virtual Zoom meeting link again. And this is for A, the purpose of consideration of deliberations with the court's executive director and other staff members who have been designated by the court to negotiate real property transactions. Or S 192.6602E. And B, for the purpose of consultation with counsel concerning the legal rights and duties of the public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed. Or S 192.6602H. Okay, with that, it's about 3:55. We will recess our open meeting. We will take a 5-minute break and then reconvene in executive session. Okay, it is 4:27. We'll come in out. We're going to reconvene our open session. All commissioners are still present. There's no decision to be made coming out of executive session. So anything else we need to add?
I think I need one clarification. We have a meeting on Thursday with OHA, DEQ, Morrow County, and the port to talk about our SEP application and Department of Justice to try to come to a resolution on how to get Morrow County's project funded through OHA in concurrence with DEQ and DOJ. We now have another application, and I think you wanted to talk about this again, but we're trying to complete this on Thursday. So I really need you to tell me, we didn't bring, I mean, the first application wasn't brought to you for approval. So I need some direction,
So
or not direction.
did we, the whole purpose behind the water consortium was to discuss this type of venture, was it not? How to move forward and provide safe drinking water? Because now I'm forming a coalition. That was my understanding. So I think my druthers is, I'll stay that course. That's kind of what this commission decided through the partnership with the county and their other partners. So, should we look at the other? Yeah, absolutely. But, I think it was the desire of this commission to try to work together with our other partners to move this project along to provide safe drinking water.
Yeah, I mean, that's the body to make the decision, not, but Port of Morrow wouldn't make, is that correct?
The application came from Morrow County prior to the consortium being
Okay.
put together. So the application went in months ago. But I can tell you, the piece that they were short on is DEQ, thought the community engagement piece should have been done already. And it's part of their application, just as this is community engagement. It just, our goal, I think the consortium's goal is to get infrastructure in the ground to provide safe drinking water to residential neighborhoods. I just want, I don't know if you want to tell me not to move forward on Thursday, or if you want me to wait another month. We're likely to be just sending our check to the state of Oregon, or we automatically cut 80% check to OHA. Because that's what DEQ will approve. So that's what I want to know.
Well, in my mind, the county's application was denied at DEQ for lack of community involvement. So there's really, if you follow process, the DEQ should, you know, how are we going forward with a project that isn't approved by DEQ?
Because it will be approved by Oregon Health Authority.
And I thought that was exactly what we didn't want to happen was, how could the Oregon Health Authority approve a DEQ sponsored program, I guess?
Our fine money would go to OHA, and OHA would choose to fund the Morrow County project, which they already have 2 grants from Business Oregon to fund the community engagement piece.
So the missing part in the initial application from Morrow County is community engagement.
Right.
Correct?
That's what DEQ said.
That's what DEQ said.
It needed to be done before they even give you.
Which doesn't
But
make a lot of
the
sense.
DEQ doesn't have the money, OHA has the money.
No,
No, we, actually, right now,
we have the money. We have the money.
Oh,
Not for long.
okay.
Right.
Then it goes to DEQ, then to OHA, or?
No,
Go to
no,
OHA.
if it's approved by DEQ
But
to go to OHA, we pay OHA directly.
Directly, okay.
But we always have the option to just take it all and give the money to DEQ.
Okay.
So has the OHA provided an application?
No. No, the DEQ would approve, we would pay 80% of the funds to OHA, just like we did the last time.
You're saying instead of funding a project? I'm sorry, this is really confusing to me.
So it would go to OHA, but this time we're gonna negotiate and bring the dollars back instead of them spending it on television ads or whatever.
Through OHA.
Okay.
Okay. So we're trying to narrow where the money's
Maybe
going.
we keep more control here.
But that
Exactly.
would come back to the consortium.
Yes,
Yes.
to Morrow County,
To the project.
to the project.
If you can get it.
Yes, if we can get it approved on Thursday.
That's what I would like to see, simply to make the consortium work.
I just want to make sure that I'm not misdirected here.
I agree with Joe. I think we let the consortium work, I guess.
I think I'd like to see a vote, because I think that it's very important for our communities to be involved. And we are taking it completely out of their hands, completely out of their hands.
But there is a community engagement piece, Ellie, through Morrow County that you just, it's actually in the works now. I mean, they're doing it. It's funded by Business Oregon.
I thought that was just the two $20,000 grants, one for actually sewer system design and the other for just looking at the project. But I don't know that that had any community involvement in it at all. Through Business Oregon, the two grants from Business Oregon. I just think that the board historically made the decision.
I don't think you made I don't think you made the first decision. That's.
We voted on it to send it to OHA or not. We voted, it was. We either gave the money to DEQ or we gave it to OHA. None of us were happy about giving it to OHA. We did it anyway, and we come back and we can see, like Rick says, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars spent, you know, for like the 211 call program that didn't work. You know, we spent $100 grand on a program that they trashed in 3 weeks or 4 weeks because no one called in. I think engaging our community is a good idea, but I don't know, you know, that the community is going to engage with the consortium. I'd like to see it happen. I don't know that it's gonna happen.
So is there an advice? How do those two studies that you're saying is going on right now for community outreach? Is the consortium going to take their input? I guess I would just say that I was a little disappointed that the consortium didn't have at least one public member on it. I know, I mean, the county was very specific on how they wanted it formed, and it was 2 representatives from each support and the county. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, this is me.
Yes, that's correct.
And so there's just 4 board members, or is there a 5th?
And then they would set up an advisory board.
And they would set up an advisory.
If you recall, I wanted them to add the city of Boardman and city of Oregon onto the consortium.
So how does the advisory actions that are being taken right now, how does that fit into the water consortium? I mean, is there outreach that will be constructive, be useful, be engaging, those kinds of things?
Yes.
So the consortium, all that IGA and everything is exactly what we're doing with the broadband. They mirrored the broadband. Like, it's almost to the word. I mean,
But the consortium would have an advisory committee and part of the requirements would be.
Part of the
Public
project
input.
is community engagement.
Community, there you go. So is that part of what you're asking for is community engagement?
I don't remember did the IGA specifically say that they were going to have an advisory group? I don't remember that being in there.
I remember reading that. Don't hold me 100%.
We certainly talked about it at the meeting that they were here. I can't tell you if it's in the,
I thought it was in the IGA itself.
I think it is too.
We have 2 of the 4 board members too. And you know, we can take that recommendation to them and say, I'm sorry. And we can take that recommendation to them. We have voices on the board with 2 board members. And I'm starting to think that if we, because they're gonna have to prove some kind of community engagement just to get approved on Thursday, it sounds like to me. Is that right?
That's the way I understand it, yes.
Well, they've already disapproved it because it didn't take place and the application was denied. So what we're asking for is to go above and beyond the S&P protocol of what, and I went to a 2-day class on it, learning how, you know, and it's a lot of work for these, you know, SCP projects to be written and to go through. And then for us to basically we're skirting the protocol of what I learned through those 2 days and how to write those and how you get your community engagement and what's important to your community. Because that's what the SEP projects are for. The consortium, it's a new program, it may or may not work. And I don't know that, like I said, I'm pretty in tune with the community, and getting community engagement is gonna be tough. And this SCP gives the community a big voice and, some voice in what they're gonna have, happen to their places. I was at a meeting, the roadmap meeting the other day, and at the end of the meeting, we were told that 3 people would make the decision for us. And I, voiced my opinion that that's exactly what the community doesn't want. And that's exactly in the direction that we're headed. No community involvement.
I guess I'm a bit confused because I thought the whole idea is they want water. Right? They want clean drinking water.
They want a choice on how they get that, I think is what they're asking, Mark.
They probably won't have a choice. They're gonna be, we're gonna go through the analysis and design, and it's gonna probably be the cheapest option. It'll probably be a pump station, a tank, a pump station. And then everybody will get a service they can hook up to or they can't hook up to.
But that is a choice.
And that'll be a choice.
Yeah.
But if we don't start designing and start building, this is just gonna continue for year after year after year. I mean, of course, I build stuff, so I just wanna go build it, get it done, and get these people water. And not go through a whole bunch of public process, but that's just.
And isn't
I
the
understand.
consortium, can you remind me, Lisa, didn't it say that it was West Glen only?
No. No.
They talked about other.
Or what the county project was West Glen only?
There was a version.
Yes.
It was the
Well,
first.
I'd have to go back and read that, but
I believe that, we're talking about everybody in,
well,
Not-
the
and
solutions
these
are gonna
are-
be different, Kelly, for everybody. West Glen is gonna have a solution. Estergard might have a different solution.
Right.
I
It
mean,
might be a community well.
the wagon wheel in Irrigan would have a solution very similar to West Glen solution, but the onesie twosies will be handled differently than the communities.
I totally understand that. I just want the community to have that voice when it comes their choice.
Well,
To have that.
and I think the community will have a choice, but like Mark said, if we don't start working on engineering and design and getting pipes in the ground, it's gonna be years before we can get something done. And at that point, they don't really have a choice. They're gonna be drinking the water that they have right now out of a plastic bottle or.
That's a horrible choice.
I guess I'm falling on the side of the consortium and moving forward where we have a voice, 2 voices at the table that understand clearly what the commission wants here. And that community outreach needs to be part of that process, whether it's in the IGA or not. I would hope our representatives would pursue that. I know that there might be one plan for West Glen already in the pipeline, or that's the biggest impact they can have the quickest. But they'll look to other things. Leadership now, I think in the county and in the port, does have an interest in giving water to people. But also listening to them. I mean, we need to support them, support the people. I initially was turned off by the consortium idea of just leadership, same old leadership doing the same, having the same attitude. But I'm hoping that the representation that we have will see to it that the consortium gets off on the right foot. I believe that, I guess I'll just add to that, but I believe that the added strength between the Port of Morrow and the county, Morrow County, will hopefully bring dollars to the table that might not be available, whether they're SEP or whether they're use the SEP funds to leverage grants or whatever it is. however that could be. I'd love to see it take off and really take care of the problem in Morrow County. That middle ground that Dave talked about, that Commissioner Sykes talked about, not the little, not the great big, but people right now.
Enough direction?
Thank you.
Okay.
I just needed to know what to do on Thursday.
Could I ask, I'm gonna put a motion on the table. I would like to take a vote on denying or I would like to see us move forward with the community engagement, pre-approved application from the DEQ. And that would be my motion.
But that's not, that doesn't define what is this. This is a application from the Oregon Rural Action, did not, I mean, that's what this is, that's what you're referring to.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion on the table.
Well, for the sake of a vote, I will second the motion. So we can take a vote so that everybody knows where we stand.
And I think the community needs to know where we stand.
Okay, so just to be clear, your motion was to take that.
To approve the SEP, the Oregon Rural Action.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Any other discussion on that?
So, yes. Think that having a vote to go either direction isn't, I'm not quite grasping what we're trying to vote to say that we aren't supporting our community involvement when we're just had a discussion about we expect that the community to be involved in these decisions. So I'm not quite sure where you're going there. I believe the whole purpose behind the consortium was to provide safe drinking water to as many people as we possibly can. So I'm not excited about the characteristic view that you just proposed, that we're denying people. Because I don't believe that's what we're doing.
Yeah, my impression is we're voting on this presentation or in rural action. We're not voting on whether to have community involvement. I'm in favor of community involvement. But I think the consortium do a better job than this.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, with that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye. That sounds like a 4-1 vote. Motion fails.
And I would like to say, I'm sorry that we don't have Michael on the call right now. I don't know, I mean, we were past our deadline for submitting the project. We've been past the notice of DEQ to try and get results back, and we've got a meeting set up on Thursday, so just want to make it clear that I don't know if you have an option to, I don't know if you approved the first application that we submitted, or if you have an option to approve a second one, but we've got to get through Thursday before we know the results. We haven't, all we've got from DEQ is we've got a meeting set up on the current application.
So if this is approved by them, it comes back to us to approve or deny spending of the money, or no?
I don't think
We
so.
don't know how
I
the
don't-
money's gonna be funneled from OHA when it comes back. Yeah, we haven't had the meeting, we haven't had a chance to have the conversation, that's what Thursday's about.
But we have the choice to either just pay the state treasury or an approved set. I think that's it.
Or pay OHA, or previous.
Because it's a-
Because it's
Right.
already approved.
Right.
But that's not what we want to do. We want the money back.
So the 2023 was approved, but they haven't approved an OHA plan for 2024. We have no idea. If we gave the money to OHA right now, we don't have any guarantee of what we are getting out of that money.
Kelly, we're meeting on Thursday to talk about that.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's
I
what I'm
can-
saying.
That's all I can tell you.
But as
I
a
mean,
board, we're.
our option right now is to pay 100% of the money to the state treasury, as Brandy said. Or we pay 80% to OHA and 20% to DEQ.
Or we
That-
could have approved the already approved one, which we just did not. We don't know where we're spending that money until Thursday, so. Right? I mean, there's no, in the plans, like outlined in these plans, it specifically states where that money is going to be spent. If we give the money to OHA, we have a county plan that nobody has seen to even say where the county is going to spend that money. The consortium doesn't have any plans on how they're gonna spend that money. I mean, we just put, two people who just put the board together. There's obviously no budget for how that money's going to be spent.
But Morrow County has an application that they submitted to DEQ.
Anything else? Okay, with that, it is 4:47. Adjourn our meeting.